Math 7, Unit 1, Lesson 6, Part 3. Rational numbers. Changing decimals to fractions. Write negative 0.26 as a fraction in simplest form. All right. With this, if you know how to say the number, not by saying 0.26, but using the place value names, this would be said as negative 26 hundredths because it ends in the hundredths place. So we would call it negative 26 hundredths. Now this can be reduced. It's 2 times negative 13 on top and 2 times 50 on bottom. We can get rid of the 2's, and this gives us an answer of negative 13 fiftieths. And that's the basics of how this works. So let's go into the gritty details of it. On page 14 in your notes, place value is used to rewrite decimals as fractions. The rightmost place value of the rational number in decimal form gives the denominator of the fraction. Then the fraction is reduced. For example, consider the rational number 129.0168. Okay, I've put it in the place value table here. Notice that the decimal terminates in the 10,000ths place. So it terminates right here in the 10,000ths place. Therefore, the denominator of the fraction will be 10,000. This means that 129.0168 is equal to 168 10,000ths, which can be reduced. On this, because they're such big numbers, you might consider factoring it all the way out and reducing what you can. You can get rid of 3 sets of 2's, and that's it. You're left with all of this. So you get remultiplying that together, you get 129 and 21 1,250ths as the fraction. Now this example is far and above more complicated than what we will be doing, because you can demonstrate you know what you're doing without having such a long decimal. So let's look at these. Rewrite each rational number as a fraction. 3.4. All right. First, recognize that there's a 3. So we've got the 3. And the 0.4, it's got one decimal place. One decimal place is the tenths place. And a 10 looks like a 1 followed by 1 0. And by the way, it's a 1 followed by the number of zeros that's equal to the number of decimal places in the decimal. And actually, back here on this one, there were 4 decimal places till it ended. That's why it was a 1 followed by 4 zeros on bottom. And that's a good quick way to remember how to do it. Anyway, this reduces nicely. 4 tenths reduces to 2 fifths, so this is 3 and 2 fifths. Okay, next example. Negative 0.125. Okay, first recognize that since there are 3 decimal places, we put it over 1,000, negative 125 over 1,000. And reducing this, I realize that 125, that's 5 times 5 times 5. There's a negative 1 in there because it's a negative 125. And 1,000, 5 times 5 times 5 times 8. And this allows us to get rid of all those 5's. And we're left with negative 1/8 as our fraction. Now, usually when we reduce these, we notice that they both end in, well, one ends in 5, one ends in 0, so they both can divide 5. So you divide 5 off and you get rid of one of them. And then when you simplify that down, hey, you can take 5 out again because now it's 25 out of 200. And then you take that out. And you can keep taking a 5 out each time. I was just showing here that we ended up having to reduce by 5 3 times. Okay, 0.0004. Again, these are the examples in your notes. If need be, the video can be paused and rewound. So on this one, we start with 4 over 10,000. There are 4 decimal places, and the power of 10 with 4 zeros is 10,000. Now, if we think of what that equals, we can factor out a 4 and then reduce that 4. And we're just left with 1 2,500th. So 0.0004 is 1 2,500th. Okay, looking at some more examples here. these ones not necessarily in your notes, write the decimal as a fraction or a mixed number in simplest form, negative 0.7. Well, since it goes to one decimal place, it's going to be over 10, and negative 7 over 10 doesn't reduce. That's it. There's nothing left to do on that one. Okay, 0.125. You might remember this from the last page. It was negative there, but it's the same type of problem. You would have 125 over 1,000, and when you reduce it, you get 1/8. Okay, negative 3.1. Well, that's going to be negative 3, and since it has one decimal place, we're going to put it over 10 and 1/10. So negative 3 and 1/10. You could also do negative 31/10 if you want an improper fraction. And that one doesn't reduce. Okay, negative 10.25. Of course, we're going to have the negative 10. And 0.25, since there's two decimal places, we'll put it over 100. And this one does reduce nicely to negative 10 and 1/4. Stay tuned to the next video.